there, Nick Chatakis here. In this video, we're going to go over the importance of having really good customer support, as well as knowing your customer. So on this channel, we usually have technical topics around building and deploying web applications, but chances are if you're building and deploying a web app, it's to offer some type of product or service. You know, maybe you have a SaaS app, or you're selling a one-time purchase app, or maybe you have video courses or a book, or maybe you have some type of consulting service, you know, whatever it happens to be here. And there is a really big common ground there just around the value of customer support and knowing your customer. And I very recently had an interaction with a security and surveillance camera supplier that left me pleasantly surprised. So I ended up cranking out this blog post here. That's what we're going to go over in this video here. And don't worry, you know, I'm not going to be narrating this thing word for word. I'm going to add a little bit more color and detail as we go over the blog post. And it will be linked in the description there. I'll leave a link to that one when the video is up. Right now it's being hosted on localhost. And yeah, this actually stems from a previous video I made a couple of months ago around designing a payment system while working at a pizza place. So this video is also extracted out of something I learned or had some experience interacting with at that pizza place here. You know, we don't need to really go over too much background there other than like, I was basically just helping my friend out with some technology related stuff at his pizza place. You know, I'm not like actually working there full time or something like that. Still a software developer here. But yeah, this post is actually about a site I recently discovered called CCTV Camera Pros. And yeah, let's get into it here. So by the way, this post is not a sponsorship. You know, I have no affiliation. There's no affiliation links with them at all. No one asked me to write this except my own brain. I actually felt compelled after recently purchasing a camera for them. So yeah, the backstory just around this one, like why am I buying cameras or whatever. So, you know, around the time my friend opened up that pizza place here, he had someone else install and pick out a security camera system. And this is well before I met him. So, you know, the goal here is just to set up a couple of cameras to watch areas inside and outside of the store. You know, this is important just from a liability point of view, right? If someone slips outside, you just want to be able to catch that stuff on camera. Or if there's some, you know, interaction inside, or like maybe employees are doing questionable things here, you know, it's a pretty good idea just to have that stuff on camera here. But unfortunately, that person who sold him that camera, yeah, they sold them a discontinued model of a wired camera system, so it's not wireless. And this was not from CCTV Camera Pros, right? But this camera system that is hooked up and installed now, you know, it supports 8 cameras. It basically has like a DVR, like a big box that all these cameras can go into. Then you can hook it up to something like a TV, and then there's also like a phone app that you can do to connect to it over the internet there. And the interesting thing about this discontinued model is that none of the cameras from the actual manufacturer support having audio there. But now my friend wants to hook up a camera with audio near the cash register, you know, basically just to pick up audio inside basically the whole pizza place there. And, you know, I called the manufacturer and they confirmed that none of the cameras that they have for this model support audio. But the DVR, basically, you know, the box that everything connects to there, it does support audio. So at the software level, you know, there is ways to like mute the audio and listen to the audio, both on the app as well as, you know, if you have the output to a TV or something like that. But it's going to be on us here to find a third-party camera. They really can't recommend any because, you know, that company, you know, they're not really going to be affiliates of other companies there. You know, the best they gave me there was, you know, pointed me to the manual, and that had all the specs for the types of cameras that the DVR supported here. So basically, it's a wired 1080p camera with a BNC connector here. I'll leave some overlay up so you can picture that there. And there's also pictures down below as well. But yeah, it's 12 volt DC, 300 milliamp input rating. So at first, I just started going through usual suspects, right? To Amazon, Home Depot, Walmart, and a couple other sites that are, you know, pretty well known for selling electronics and stuff like that. And I really couldn't find anything good that matches all of these specs here, because I found that most of the cameras being individually sold, like, you know, wired 1080p cameras, a BNC connector, etc., they were really for very specific DVRs. You know, typically it's some manufacturer's camera for the manufacturer's DVR. Now, in theory, could it potentially maybe work with ours as well, but it's like an undocumented feature? I don't know, maybe, but guess what? I know quite a bit about software and just computers in general. I'm not super handy, but I can usually figure things out with most electronics and research things if I get stuck here. But yeah, I'm not a professional camera installer. You know, I don't know all of those like hidden subtle details there. So anyways, you know, I was coming up empty everywhere, searching around that type of criteria there. So another option I thought about there was, well, what about getting maybe something like a standalone wireless camera that connects like, you know, directly to his mobile phone through an app there. You know, this would be completely separate from the existing DVR system there that he has set up that's wired. You know, I found all sorts of options there in a pretty reasonable price range, right? About $50 USD there. But most of them really only worked over Wi-Fi, and they offered no way to connect to it from the outside internet. Now, I didn't search to the end of the freaking world here. You know, I looked for, you know, probably a good half an hour going through different options, weighing pros and cons, trying to find some stuff. And yeah, there just wasn't anything that really stood out there. And yeah, it was really important for him to be able to check the cameras from his house, not within the store over Wi-Fi there. And also I found that most of these cameras here, they had pretty small SD cards there, maybe like 128 gigs there. That's not a lot of space when you're dealing with recording video and audio as well. So, it's basically a couple of days of recording if you have things on like motion activated. If it wasn't motion activated, that just could be potentially a couple hours there. So it's not a huge amount of space there. And a lot of them offered weirdly like their own flavor of like internal cloud hosting, which was like $5 to $15 a month, let's say. It was pretty interesting at the amount of cameras that I found in like the $50 price range, the standalone ones, where it was like, oh yeah, sign up for our cloud hosting, whatever, instead of just using something like Google Drive or something that's pretty generic. So yeah, we didn't want to go for that. That's pretty, not like it's massively expensive there, but it's inconvenient. It's totally separate system. And the technical or the store owner there, yeah, he's not very technical. And he's already used to the system that they currently have set up, or we have currently set up there. There is a phone app for that. It all works. He's able to monitor things from his house or check into things as needed there. And yeah, it offers connecting over the internet too. So yeah, it's also that DVR that he has there. It stores like 30 to 40 days worth of recording at a time. It's really easy to wipe that and check it out or skim through stuff. And yeah, everything is set up to be motion activated. So it's pretty good. I think the drive size was something like 1 terabyte. So I was pretty much convinced that I had to find a camera with audio support that works with this device that we have. So I Googled around like really hard, and I did end up finding CCTV Camera Pros. That's the site that we actually have loaded over here. So they have all sorts of different cameras for a lot of different things, and cool. So let's go over a little bit about that. So this is the new camera that I ended up getting here. This is stuff on my floor, unpacked it. Actually, it just came earlier today. So spoiler alert, it's been installed successfully. So yay. But that's all the pieces to it here. And yeah, I actually ended up landing on this specific one. It's pretty interesting. It's basically a smoke detector style camera. So there's that little pinhole over here. That's like a pinhole type of camera here. And yeah, it was $110, free shipping. A little bit more because we needed cables there, but let's get to that when we get to that here. But think about this from my perspective, right? I am not a camera installation pro here. I don't have a huge amount of knowledge about this stuff. I know how to connect wires. I understand that various forms of output, like video and audio, they can travel through wires and stuff like that. But I'm not 100% confident just like skimming the manufacturer's specs alone. However, the description of this camera had everything, including pictures and videos, like demonstrating how it all worked. That stuff was really critical. So, if we go back to here and we scroll down here, look at all the information. We have all sorts of different things like around, the audio formats, and here's like all the specs here that we can take a look at here. Oh, cool, video connector, BNC. Guess what? That's exactly what I need. Oh, 1080p. Cool, there it is. And yeah, the power stuff is all compatible here. And I don't know, I'm not going to play the whole video here, but yeah, I'll leave a link to this one in the description if you want to check it out. But if you play this video, it's like a minute and a half or whatever it was, like a minute 44 seconds of just this dude in a room talking about the camera at times. And it shows everything. It shows how much detail the camera captures. Basically, you can get an idea of like, how much a depth or a range or whatever you're going to get on it with, they even get into details of like how high the camera was taking it at the point of this video here. So you just know to expect like what to get. So there's a lot of really good stuff here. There's like multiple videos just showing you how to interact with it. And yeah, and screenshots as well, and descriptions of everything. And like, what more could you possibly ask for in a description like that? And also, how to use it for certain different types of video modes, depending on what type of DVR setup that you have. Yeah, a lot of good stuff there. And going back to here, right? So the videos are actually what sold me on it here because they were really concise and informative. They felt like they were recorded by someone who actually knew the product in depth. And spoiler alert, like later on, I actually found out that most of the videos were made by the co-founder of the company. Ended up finding that out in an email, which we'll get to in a bit here. So yeah, the videos are great, right? There was no like 5-minute bullshit like, hey guys, this is Matthew Mick, security face. Welcome to the video. Please like us on Facebook and smash that like button. By the way, if you comment on this video, we're running something, we're going to pick a winner to receive like 10% off. No, it told me exactly what I wanted to know in literally 2 minutes. But if I want to get technical, actually about a minute there because I always watch videos at 2x speed. So yeah, even if you're not looking to buy the security camera or whatever, it is good to check out that video just to see how concise it actually was here. But, the part that I was a bit sketchy on before I found this site, right, was making sure I got the correct cable to go with it. But this site made it really easy here because if we go back to here, maybe I'm scrolled up. No, I'll go to this one, whatever. Right, very close to this add to cart button. It's like, hey, by the way, do you need some cables for this one? And it's like, you know what? I actually do. I need a 25-foot cable. Oh, cool. This is like for power, for video, and for audio, and it's like $15. Yeah, that's the one that I want. Do I need an HDMI converter? No, I don't need that one because it's already BNC. I don't need to convert that over to HDMI. And whatever the warranty, 2 years included, which is pretty nice here. For 110 plus whatever this was, 15 is like $125. Add to cart, checkout process, and we're done. So yeah, right next to that add to cart button, I was able to know what wires I needed there, and notice how it explicitly said that the wire type is for being able to send power, video, and audio. That's exactly what I wanted to see, because again, if you're just floating around on the internet trying to buy stuff from different vendors or whatever, it's like, well, I hope that probably works, but I'm not 100% sure here. So I actually called them before I placed the order, although I was pretty confident that everything was going to work here, right? 90%. But if I can call them, spend a couple of minutes or whatever, get it closer to 100%, I mean, that's literally why their phone number is there, right? At the very top of this page, somewhere like call toll free here. Yeah, this 800 or 888 number there. So I called them up, and within a minute or so, I was chatting with a rep. There wasn't that like crazy amount of automated choices to do with the phone. Basically, speak to a sales rep, got it within like a minute or so. So I explained the situation, and he looked up the DVR model that I had and compared its specs with the camera that I was looking at here. It's all good. They line up. It is going to work there. But, I had a couple of concerns here, such as, will the camera be able to capture enough detail to pick out some like build type, like a dollar bill type, right? From like a 9-foot ceiling. It's like a drop ceiling there. With the register being on, standard like a 3-foot countertop. Registers maybe like a couple inches above that, right? So we have basically like a 6-foot gap there. Like, is the camera going to pick up enough detail to know it's like, well, is that a $100 bill there on the left, or is that a 50, or maybe is that a 10 or something like that? So, ultimately one goal here, the camera was to be able to see things like, yeah, okay, interesting. So there was a $100 bill at 6:30 in the register, but at closing, like now it's not there. So what happened to it, right? That's why we want to have something like that on video. It's not always just to watch the register, but there's all sorts of other stuff going on too. That's always good to see as needed here. So the camera itself doesn't have any type of hardware zooming onto it, but the software of the DVR does support zooming. And of course, if you're going to blur or zoom in that way, it's going to be a little bit blurry because it's only going to capture 1080p in the end here. But the actual detail is enough to detect high-level shapes and designs. So you can differentiate like a $100 bill from a $20 bill just because, that 100, well, if you're from the US, it has a very distinct look to it there. And yeah, I don't know. I found this part really nice here because like one of the best parts of the call, the rep was like, you're overthinking it. After I asked him like if he's sure about the level of detail. So like internally that made me laugh because this like guy basically analyzed and diagnosed my whole life in a matter of a few minutes, just talking about cameras here because overthinking it is basically my MO. So yeah, that call was super friendly. I learned a couple of things here. He also reminded me about a feature of the camera's video capture modes there. So there's like some little joystick thing that you can just put into different orientations there, depending on what type of DVR that you have set up there. Just nice to know, good details, right? Because if it's in the wrong mode, you may end up being recorded in black and white. And if you're not a security camera specialist, you might be wondering like, hey, this thing is supposed to be in color. Why isn't it in color? So I would imagine a lot of people had that question. So that's something he let me know right away without even asking. So yeah, later that day, I showed my friend the camera there to make sure he's okay with it. This is going to be like the field of view and all that. And he said, yeah, let's pull the trigger on it. So then I ordered it for him. And then I received a couple of emails. And this is basically, also, by the way, this is all good examples of nice customer support here, but got a couple of emails. So email number 1, like right after ordering, really nice email subject here. Hey, here's some like really helpful information about the specific one that you got. So it's like, yo, Nick, thanks for your recent order. And as you're probably aware, like this is a 4-in-1 selectable camera, blah, blah, blah. There's a little joystick thing that can be in different orientations here, depending on, what format your DVR is going to support here. So there's like some really helpful links here if you want to like go and check out different ways to install it and, how-to videos for all sorts of different stuff here, more details, like basically whatever you wanted to know there is there. And it's also marked from one of the co-founders of the company here. But yeah, I just go on to say here, what do I like about the email here? Subject, let me know exactly what I'm getting into, right? There's a link to the product I bought, like up here. I can just click that and go right back to it. And yeah, it shows me exactly about the, that video joystick mode in case I need to adjust it. I'm guessing that was a very popular question a lot of folks asked there. Multiple links to different videos and guides as needed, right? Cool. So for someone who is a professional like me, having this level of detail is pretty much perfect, right? Everything is in one spot. When it comes time to actually installing this thing, if I can't figure it out just by, plugging stuff in, which by the way, it was basically just plugging stuff in. This joystick thing ended up being useful. Helpful in that way. But yeah, it was good to go here. But then a couple of days later, I just received another follow-up email. Yo, Nick, thanks a lot for the recent order here. My name is Mike. I'm sending this email to you on behalf of myself and my business partner, Greg. We're the two co-founders of the company here. We really appreciate the trust you have given us in placing an order. Hope you were happy. Just basically giving more information here. But he also mentions here, that he personally wrote almost all the blog posts and the videos on the site here. So I found that to be a nice little touch here. And, at this point, the product didn't arrive yet, but it actually came one day later after the email here. So I don't know, I kind of liked how personal that email felt. Of course, it's an autoresponder, right, coming from SendGrid over here, in case you can't read that text because it's a little bit small here, but it feels like it was sent by a human to actually me. Mike may have actually, wrote this, put it into a SendGrid template, or, maybe someone did, or he overwrote it, whatever, it doesn't really matter, right? It got to my inbox there. But it felt like it was sent to me, like not an audience, but actually me. Weirdly though, I didn't receive a tracking number automatically through the email system. So I ended up replying to this email over here, just requesting one. I also explained to him, when I created the order here, there is this add to cart option and you can do a checkout, but like a lot of sites, you don't need to make an account. You can just check out, put in your email and card details and all that, and just have it all set up there. But there is a way for you to check out the order status here, at least currently at the time of making this video. I don't know if things maybe change here. But in this case, you actually have to log in to be able to get that information. You can't just put in an order number or an order number plus your email or something like that if you want to make it a little bit safer. But yeah, in this case, not a big deal at all. And in 2 minutes, I kid you not, maybe even 1 minute based on the timestamps in the email, he replied with the tracking number and wished me a good weekend and to reach out if I have any other questions during installation. That all happened on a Friday afternoon. So yeah, this is Saturday. I'm recording this video, by the way. Can't really ask for better service there. And what I really liked about that interaction too was and it's a little thing, but it's kind of a big deal in the end because he didn't even ask me for the order number. It's a great example of just optimizing for your customers, right? I don't know what they did on their back end. He probably just looked me up by email or name. Notice they only had one order. So that's the one I'm probably asking for when it comes to the tracking number, right? It's a really good, safe assumption to make given the context of how all this stuff turned out here. So now you might be thinking well, how do I apply this back to my service or my product? It's pretty cool that you're able to see how to sell surveillance cameras in a nice way. But, hopefully just by seeing some of those examples, you can kind of look at that context there and apply it back to whatever makes sense to your company. And we're going to go over some specific bullet points here too. But yeah, just a reminder again, this recent experience was just a good reminder at how important and how good a customer experience can be here. I try to offer similar levels of support with my courses. I answer a lot of questions and, try to provide as much relevant information as I can here. In this case, it was really nice. It was a breath of fresh air to see another company take this level of care just about their customers, right? Especially in today's world where it's having to navigate phone menus with a rat's nest of automated options, waiting on hold for a long time, getting lackluster support, and generally just having a bad taste in your mouth, right? After feeling like you've been trivialized and squeezed to further profit some company that's not that you don't care about them, but it's whatever, right? It just feels like all the burden of everything is put onto you. It's really nice to actually have a good experience there. So, here's a couple of different takeaways for anyone running a business or selling something on their own, right? Treat your customers as humans, optimize for them, even if it means doing things that don't scale. That's a famous phrase here in the tech industry. A lot of folks are well, I can't do that because, what happens if 800,000 people do it? But it's well, if you're only dealing with that 5 times a month, why don't you do the thing that doesn't scale that's really, really nice for your customers? And I'm not saying, these guys over here are only doing 5 orders a month, but you get what I mean here. Don't optimize for a scale that you're not at. And then also just knowing your audience, right? Try to understand what questions they might have ahead of time and answer them in your documentation and marketing. It's a great example with the camera, right? I had all these different questions well, what does it look like actually? Oh, cool. There's a 2-minute video I can just skim, or, here's all the specifications written in a way that is digestible from someone who's not a professional. Also, keep that up to date and refine it as new questions and other concerns pop up here. And also, yeah, be really empathetic to what your customers are thinking when they read your content. So a lot of times, a lot of blog posts that I write, it's often I wish this blog post was around before I had to learn something, quote unquote, the hard way. So yeah, I don't know. And also most importantly, understand why they're reading something specific, because chances are if they're reading a post about buying a security camera or whatever it happens to be, they're not the professional there, but you are. But you can write it as if you're the one reading it or something like that. It's, try not to write it as if you already know the stuff. So yeah, by the way, in the end, the camera was installed successfully. It all worked out. The guides worked, which really didn't have to be referenced that much because really it's kind of just plugging stuff in, positioning it, making sure it looks good in the angles that we want, and it all worked. So I thought this was a fun little post to make, fun little video to make here, because these type of things are pretty interesting to me, right? Just seeing some nice stuff there out in the wild when it comes to things that I do also, but in a different context. So with that said, if you have any comments about this video, let me know. I'll do my best to answer all of them. Shout out to the co-owners of the company. Thank you very much for offering all the good support there. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up because it really does help a lot. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next video.